This is sort of a part two regarding Myanmar's opposition. In the previous video, I pointed out how this opposition is not a product of any sort of democratic process, how it is solely a product of foreign interference, how the U.S. admits how it built up this opposition and practically installed them into power. I went over this document from the Burma Campaign UK, how they admit the U.S. government through the National Endowment for Democracy and Open Society built this opposition up from A to Z. I also showed you how Open Society through George Soros was in direct connection to this 88 generation movement, these leaders, and how Pyon Cho would eventually end up as a member of Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy. Now, I'm talking about all of this because there is another connection to be made here, and this is with Aung San Suu Kyi, and this is another reason why Myanmar's military thought it was so important to take back control of the country. This is an article by AFP, published by Myanmar, another U.S. government-funded media outlet in Myanmar. Soros's Open Society urges release of staffer held in Myanmar. So Myanmar's military rounded up a bunch of Open Society staffers. There was also this: Myanmar detains Australian advisor to Aung San Suu Kyi. First known arrest of foreign national since coup. Why does Aung San Suu Kyi have a foreign advisor? Who is this guy? After I show you who Sean Turnell is and what he's been up to, I think it'll be very clear why they arrested him.
Sean Turnell is the senior advisor to, as they call her in country, the lady. He is with her all the time discussing economic and related issues, in particular around the banking sector and the macro.
He also works at this university, and he has been an advisor to the U.S. State Department and other agencies, to USAID, Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, to the World Bank, and Open Society. So he's got he's involved in many things, many aspects of foreign interference in Myanmar's internal political affairs. Things Australia would never tolerate any other country doing to it, and yet he is doing this to Myanmar. Here is a document from Asia Society. This is one of these think tanks. It says Asia Society, but it's Western-centric and focuses on Western policy toward Asia. And this is actually current realities and future possibilities in Burma, Myanmar, options for U.S. policy. Asia Society Task Force report. And who is on this task force? This is from 2010. Wesley Clark, and a retired U.S. Army general. Henrietta Foray from USAID. There's also Sean Turnell. He's principal advisor. And you also have George Soros as a member. And if you go through this, it's all about U.S. policy towards Myanmar. So here, Sean Turnell is involved in crafting policy toward Myanmar, U.S. policy towards Myanmar. And then he is an advisor to Aung San Suu Kyi, whispering into her ear, trying to shape Myanmar's own internal policy and also their policy toward the U.S. And Sean Turnell is also part of this, the Myanmar Development Institute. There he is. And here is the Myanmar Development Institute getting USAID money. So do you see how it's just one tangled web of influence reaching into Myanmar? And Sean Turnell practically with Aung San Suu Kyi on a leash, and with the people surrounding him, Open Society, the National Endowment for Democracy, USAID, the U.S. State Department, controlling and funding virtually every aspect of Aung San Suu Kyi's political machine, the electorate process inside of Myanmar. This was what was going on. This is why Myanmar's military had to take control. This is why they were rounding up people working for Open Society, because they were literally running the country, and they just had people like Aung San Suu Kyi as the Myanmar face for what was a neo-colonial administration. And what kind of things was Sean Turnell whispering into Aung San Suu Kyi's ear? Things like this: China's $7.5 billion Myanmar port is crazy, Suu Kyi advisor says. Who is the advisor? Sean Turnell. There he is. it is a client regime, and it wasn't even really being run by people